Hey guys, I'm Lynn Hanson. I'm one of the pastors here at North Park Church. I am glad to be sharing with you in our life groups this week. We're starting a new series called Fish Story, and you can see they have part of the theme put up here at North Park Columbus. And I promise you, before I came to the church this morning, I did not find out what the theme looked like and put my shirt on to match or something like that. I don't, you can probably only see my head in the DVD. Anyway, it's going to be cool. I don't know what it's all about, but I'm supposing that's water behind us because our new series is Fish Story, and we're talking about getting fish when you ordered chicken. What does that mean? Well, have you ever asked God for something? Maybe beg God for something. I mean, you were desperate for it and totally got something other than what it is that you asked Him for. Or maybe you carefully planned something, every detail, but the way it ended up was totally different than the way that you planned it. Happens all the time in life, doesn't it? You know what we're talking about? We're talking about getting fish when you ordered chicken, and that's really the story we're talking about here too. The weekend series that we're working on right now at North Park is about this really important issue in our lives and really can derail a person's faith, can it? Why does God give you something other than what you asked for, or something other than what you planned? Why does He throw a wrench in the things that you want and plan? Well, one thing that you can always count on and know absolutely for sure is this. If you have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and you didn't get what you asked for, you didn't get what you planned, it's because He is helping you to go the right direction. He's helping you to go the right direction. Now, no story in the Bible more clearly pictures getting fish when you order chicken, not getting what you wanted or what you planned or what you asked God for, better than does the story of Jonah. So in life groups this week, what we're going to be doing, at least for the first few weeks of life groups during this series, this is an 8-week series, and for the first few weeks we'll actually be looking a little deeper at the book of Jonah in your Bible toward the end of the Old Testament. And so we're going to do the first chapter in our life groups this week as our story. Now remember, there's 3 components to storying, and there's telling, and then there's someone retelling the story from memory, and then there's the group rebuilding the story, putting it back together. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell you the story, or actually read you the story from Jonah chapter 1, and this is the way the story of Jonah begins. The Lord gave this message to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are. But Jonah got up and went the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish. He bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish. But the Lord hurled a powerful wind over the sea, causing a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. But all this time, Jonah was sound asleep in the hold. So the captain went down after him. "How can you sleep at a time like this?" he shouted. "Get up and pray to your God. Maybe He will pay attention to us and spare our lives." Then the crew cast lots to see which of them had offended the gods and caused the terrible storm. When they did this, the lots identified Jonah as the culprit. "What is your line of work? What country are you from? What is your nationality?" Jonah answered, "I am a Hebrew. I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land." The sailors were terrified when they heard this, for he had already told them he was running away from the Lord. "Oh, why did you do it?" they groaned. And since the storm was getting worse all the time, they asked him, "What should we do to stop this storm?" "Well, throw me into the sea," Jonah said, "and it will become calm again. I know that this terrible storm is all my fault." Instead, the sailors rowed even harder to get the ship to the land, but the stormy sea was too violent for them and they couldn't make it. Then they cried out to the Lord, Jonah's God. "O Lord," they pleaded, "don't make us die for this man's sin, and don't hold us responsible for his death. O Lord, you have sent this storm upon him for your own good reasons." Then the sailors picked up Jonah and threw him into the raging sea, and the storm stopped at once. The sailors were awestruck by God's great power, and they offered him a sacrifice, and they vowed to serve him. Now the Lord had arranged for a great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was inside the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, somebody go ahead and rebuild or retell that story from memory. Put your notes down and retell that story. And then the rest of you go ahead and rebuild it. Put the components in there that they might have missed. Every bit of it is important. And let's learn this story. Go ahead. Would you do that, please? All right, guys, a few discussion questions now that you have retold the story, rebuilt the story. Question number one, what do you think the primary meaning of this story is? Think about it, read through it, glance through it, skim over it, whatever you need to do. Ask God, what do you think the primary meaning of this chapter of Jonah is? Go ahead and talk about that, please. All right, question number 2. Let's dig in just a little bit. Going through the story here, how many different things can you find that Jonah asked for and didn't get, or that he planned and didn't get, or that he determined he was going to do and God changed his plans for him? Go ahead and look through there, see what you can find, name those things, talk about those things together, would you please? Well, I'll tell you, it's telltale, isn't it? So many things that God was up to in this story, but it's really telltale there at verse 5, I think. Yeah, go back and look at verse 5 and notice what happened there. They shouted out to their gods, all these different sailors did. I mean, these guys are praying, even though they're not believers, they're praying. But Jonah, God's man, Jonah, he's asleep. By the way, storms in the Bible are very often a metaphor for trouble and difficulty in our lives. And of course, the thing is, we cry out to God during the storms and the trials and the troubles in our life, the difficulties that we have. And hopefully, it causes us, the Word says at Psalm 119, to pay attention to His principles and, kind of rearrange our lives. But we call out to Him in those storms, just as these sailors did. And so question number 3 is this. Describe the present storm in your life. Now, there's almost always some things going on with us. So, would you tell your group, share with your group honestly and openly about the struggle, the storm that's going on in your life right now? Do that, please. Well, okay, question number 4, simple question. What is God teaching you in the midst of your storm? Simple as that. Stuff going on with you right now, difficulties, troubles. What is God teaching you in the midst of your storm? Talk about that, would you please? All right, very good. Guys, isn't it neat to see that what happened here is that these sailors actually turned to the real living God? They had been worshipers of other gods, and because of Jonah's poor witness, because of who he said that he was, and because of the storm and the things that God did to arrange all of this, a whole ship full of sailors turned to Christ. That's pretty neat. Question number 5. Considering what God has been doing in your life and what He's been teaching you through Life Group this week, is there a new direction that Jesus is encouraging you to take? What is that new direction that Jesus is encouraging you to take? Go ahead and talk about that, would you please? Well, guys, that's your Life Group for this week, and I hope that you have a really great time for the rest of your Life Group, and I will see you soon.